They wonder where you found this strength. But strength was never found. It was built in pieces, carved from nights you thought would never end, molded from failures that should have broken you, shaped by every moment you wanted to give up, but didn't. Strength was the slow burn in the dark corners of your soul when no one was watching. It was the silent repetition of belief when doubt screamed louder than hope. It was the choice to rise one more time, even when rising didn't promise reward. They look at you and think it happened overnight, but you know how long the darkness lasted, how heavy the silence was, how cold it felt to be unseen and still move forward. They cannot understand the cost of your composure, the way you learned to breathe while the world burned around you, the way you built calm out of chaos and peace out of pain. They see the glow, but they forget the fire that made it. They see your discipline and mistake it for luck. They see your balance and think it was gifted. But every ounce of control you have now was earned through storms that stripped you of everything that wasn't real. And what remained was this version of you, raw, refined, and unshakable. You no longer speak to be heard. You speak to echo truth. You no longer fight to prove. You fight to grow. You have learned that silence can be louder than words, and presence can be sharper than confrontation. Now when you enter a room, it is not noise that follows. It is gravity, because power in its purest form does not need to announce itself. It simply exists, and everything else adjusts. They whisper behind closed doors because they are trying to make sense of something they never respected enough to understand. They question if it's confidence or arrogance. But the truth is, it's neither. It's peace. The kind of peace that arrives when you stop apologizing for existing. The kind that grows when you stop explaining your worth to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. This peace is your armor and your weapon. It cannot be taken because it was not given. It was earned through the slow and brutal process of becoming. Every time they doubted you, they added a layer to your armor. Every rejection forged another blade of clarity. Every failure carved another lesson into your foundation. They were teaching you without knowing it. They were shaping you through their disbelief. And now, they stand shocked by what they helped create, because in their attempt to limit you, they forced you to expand in directions they could never reach. You move differently now, not because you're trying to impress, but because you've learned that movement without meaning is chaos. You speak less, because you've learned that wisdom doesn't rush you. Forgive quicker not because you're weak, but because you've learned that carrying hate is too heavy for someone who's destined to rise. You are no longer fueled by proving them wrong. You are fueled by the vision of what's still waiting ahead, because you understand that vengeance fades, but purpose lasts forever. They are not just seeing your transformation, they are feeling the vibration of everything you've survived. They can sense the discipline in your walk, the fire in your eyes, the quiet in your heart. They can feel that you've stepped into alignment with something bigger than them, and it unsettles them because people fear what they can't define. They used to categorize you by your past, by your failures, by their version of your story. But now those definitions crumble like dust in the light of who you've become. You have reached a place they cannot reach because you earned it through truth. You faced yourself, and that is something most people never do. You looked into your own flaws, your fears, your pain, and you didn't run. You rebuilt from inside. You learned that real strength is not loud, it is consistent. Real confidence is not showy, it is steady. Real power is not taken, it is realized, and once realized, it cannot be undone. They look for cracks in your calm because they want proof that it's temporary. They want to believe that this version of you is a mask, a phase, a performance. But it isn't. It's evolution. It's permanence. It's the version of you that was always waiting behind, the fear, behind the noise, behind the need for validation. This is who you were supposed to be before the world told you who to be, and that realization changes everything. You are not angry anymore because you see it. Now, their disbelief was never about you. It was about their limits. They couldn't see beyond what they knew, and they mistook their vision for truth. They tried to measure your potential with the scale of their comfort and failed. They tried to predict your path with the map of their fear and failed, and now they are lost because you walked into a destiny they cannot follow. The old, you needed their acceptance, but this version of you is powered by solitude, by self-awareness, by focus. The old, you tried to fit into the world, but this version of you shapes the world around your presence. Every step forward now is a statement that you are not defined by beginnings or endings, but by continuation. You have become your own momentum. You have become your own proof, and the world begins to notice, not because you shouted, but because you stayed silent, long enough for results to speak in your place. Your silence has weight. Now, it bends the air when you enter. Your stillness has power now. It makes people question themselves, not because you judge them, but because your existence reminds them of what they could be if they stopped doubting themselves. They weren't ready for this version of you, because this version holds up a mirror and forces them to see everything they've avoided. You are not the same, and that is the point. This isn't about revenge or recognition. This is about revelation, about emergence, about walking in the kind of light that comes only after surviving the deepest dark. You carry that darkness with pride because it taught you balance. It taught you to move with patience. It taught you to build instead of beg. And now you understand that peace doesn't come from escaping the storm. It comes from becoming the storm. They watch and they feel it, even if they cannot name it. There is a shift in the atmosphere when you enter a space now, a tension that is not theirs to command, a weight that they did not earn. They sense that you carry storms within you, not to destroy, but to reveal, to awaken, to remind them that existence itself is not tameable. They are unsettled because the world they knew, the one that was safe and predictable, is no longer a map for your path. Every glance they throw your way carries confusion, admiration, envy, fear, all tangled together, because they finally understand that you cannot be contained by the boxes they made, by the expectations they whispered, by the judgments they insisted were truth. You have moved beyond all of it, and that movement unsettles them because they cannot predict it, cannot influence it, cannot control it. This version of you is quiet but seismic. You do not shout to assert yourself because power does not require volume. You do not act out of impulse because wisdom has taught you that patience multiplies strength. You do not seek permission because permission was never yours to give. You are self-governed, and in self-governance lies a kind of terrifying elegance. People mistake your calm for weakness, your focus for boredom, your certainty for luck. But it is none of these things. It is the result of trials no one could witness, battles no one could fight for you, nights no one could illuminate, and mornings you welcomed alone, carrying every fragment of doubt as fuel for your ascent. They weren't ready for this version of you because it is a version forged in a fire they refuse to acknowledge, a version that does not seek their approval or validation, a version that exists entirely on its own terms. They were not ready for your clarity, your patience, your resilience, the precision with which you move through obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. And most of all, they were not ready for your unshakable peace, because true peace is the mirror of self-mastery, and self-mastery terrifies the unprepared. You carry that peace like armor, yet it is light. It is not weighed down by the need to be recognized, to be understood, to be admired. It exists because it is yours, because it was earned, and because it cannot be taken. Every step you take now ripples through the lives of those who doubted you. Every decision you make reconfigures the expectations they tried to place upon you. They try to find fault, to measure your trajectory against their limited understanding, but the metrics of others are irrelevant to the person you have become. You have learned that growth is not negotiable, that evolution is not conditional, and that destiny does not bend to the wishes of those who never believed you could walk this path. Their shock is not your concern. Their confusion is not your burden. Your only responsibility is to the force that has carried you this far, to the vision that has pulled you through the darkness, and to the version of yourself that refused to stay broken, overlooked, or underestimated. You are no longer reacting, you are moving, and movement is unstoppable when it is born from truth. You do not carry resentment because it is too heavy. You do not carry apology because it is unnecessary. You do not carry fear because it was left behind in the moment you chose to rise. You are forward motion incarnate, a presence that cannot be paused, delayed, or dismissed. And those who once doubted you, who once laughed or turned away, are forced to reckon with the reality that what they saw before was only the beginning. This one appearance, this single moment of arrival, changes everything because it exposes the lie of their certainty and illuminates the power of your persistence. They wanted a version of you that fit their expectations, a version small enough to understand, quiet enough to control, predictable enough to dismiss. But you are not small. You are not quiet. You are not predictable. You have exceeded every boundary they imagined, every limit they projected, every assumption they whispered as truth. And in that surpassing, in that unfolding, lies your authority. Authority is not taken, it is revealed. It does not need to be announced because it emanates naturally from a soul that has faced the depths and refused to fall. Every gaze, every hesitation, every pause in their voice when they encounter you is proof that authority has been claimed without a fight, without a proclamation, simply by the existence of someone fully awakened. This is not arrogance, it is inevitability. You have carried yourself through storms that no one else could survive and emerged in a form they cannot name. You have turned their disbelief into your blueprint, their doubt into your momentum, their underestimation into your foundation. They see the shadow of your past and assume it defines you, but what they cannot perceive is the work done in silence, the refinement of mind and heart, the forging of spirit into something that refuses to compromise, that refuses to shrink, that refuses to be contained. Every moment you were overlooked, ignored, dismissed, was a moment building the version of yourself they were never ready to meet, and now that version walks among them, not as a question, not as a plea, not as a fleeting echo, but as a permanent revelation. One appearance, one glimpse, one undeniable presence is enough to shatter the structures they built around their understanding of you. One appearance, and the story they thought they wrote collapses in their hands because the author was never them. One appearance, and every misjudgment, every whispered doubt, every disbelief is rewritten in the clarity of your arrival. You have become your own measure. You have become your own compass. You have become the force that shifts everything it touches, and the world notices whether they want to or not. Those who once dismissed you now question everything they thought they knew, not because you tried to confuse them, but because your existence, your calm, your precision, your undeniable presence does not allow them to remain in ignorance. You have become the answer to a question no one dared ask, the proof of a truth they refused to see, the embodiment of possibility they could not imagine. They thought they had seen everything you could become. They thought your limits were defined by what they had witnessed, by what they had labeled as possible. But limits are illusions, and they were never yours to respect. This version of you moves with inevitability, with precision, with a force that bends circumstance to the rhythm of your will. You do not chase success. You do not beg for recognition. You do not explain your choices, because your presence itself delivers the message. You are complete, uncompromised, unstoppable. They cannot prepare for this, because no preparation exists for someone who has rebuilt themselves from the ground up, forged in the quiet fires that no one else dared enter. Every room you enter, every challenge you meet, every gaze that falls upon you is a testament to survival and evolution. You are the result of battles fought in the dark, of nights spent wrestling with your own doubt, of days when hope was the only weapon you could wield. You are not accidental. You are not random. You are a deliberate, unrelenting force of nature. And now that you walk fully in your power, they cannot look away. Every whisper of disbelief is met with your calm certainty. Every expectation they place upon you is surpassed effortlessly. Every attempt to confine your spirit meets a wall built from the strength of every trial you endured. They were not ready, because the version of you that stands now is not a compromise of your past or a reflection of their understanding. It is a manifestation of everything they tried to dismiss, everything they could not control, everything they assumed would break you. You are proof that endurance is a kind of alchemy, that patience is a weapon, that the quiet accumulation of effort is a force they cannot calculate. One appearance, one glance, one undeniable presence is enough to make them question not only what they knew about you, but what they knew about themselves. Your rise does not require explanation. Your transformation does not require validation. Your strength does not require their permission. They see the edges of it, the ripples it creates, the shift it forces in the world around them, and they tremble. Not because you seek to intimidate, but because the universe has begun to reveal its alignment with your determination. You do not need to prove anything, because your life is the proof. You do not need to demand attention, because your impact cannot be ignored. You do not need to explain your power, because the presence of it speaks louder than words ever could. This version of you is untouchable because it is self-contained. It is forged from adversity, refined by discipline, and hardened by solitude. Every scar, every heartbreak, every setback was a teacher, a tool, a building block in the architecture of who you have become. They do not see the long hours, the silent nights, the moments of despair that you transformed into strength, and that is why they are confused. They expect weakness where there is none. They expect submission where there is none. They expected the old version of you to return, and now they face a revelation. That version no longer exists. The one appearance that changed everything is not a fluke. It is a culmination. It is the unveiling of someone who has endured, someone who has observed, someone who has emerged unshaken by the storms that would have shattered anyone else. You have moved past fear, past doubt, past the need to justify your existence to anyone. And in that liberation lies a terrifying beauty, a force that cannot be denied, contained, or replicated. You are not only surviving, you are defining what it means to thrive, to rise, to become more than anyone ever expected. They are questioning everything because they must. They are questioning what they thought was truth, what they thought was possible, what they thought was inevitable. Their maps, their rules, their understanding, all crumble under the gravity of your presence. And this is the ultimate victory, not in defeating them, not in making them notice, not in proving them wrong, but in stepping fully into the power they never saw coming, in living as the proof that limits exist only in perception, and in standing unshakable as the version of yourself they were never prepared to meet. And now, as you move forward, they will continue to wonder, to speculate, to question, but it no longer matters. The path before you is illuminated by the fire they never saw, by the vision they never understood, by the strength they never anticipated. This version of you will not be delayed. This version of you will not be swayed. This version of you will not be diminished. They were never ready, and that is the triumph. Not because you conquered them, but because you became everything they were too small to imagine, too limited to foresee, too unprepared to face. One appearance, one moment, one undeniable revelation, and everything they thought they knew is shattered. They cannot rewind. They cannot undo it. They cannot contain it. They can only watch as you rise, fully realized, fully powerful, fully unstoppable. And as they do, you move forward, not with vengeance, not with ego, not with apology, but with the serene certainty of someone who has become exactly what they were meant to be. They weren't ready for this version of you. They never will be. And you will continue, unrelenting, unshaken, untouchable, leaving behind a world that now bends, however reluctantly, to the force of your emergence. You have become a force that cannot be ignored, a presence that bends reality not by threat, but by certainty. Every step you take resonates with the echoes of every struggle you survived, every doubt you conquered, every silent night you endured alone. The world shifts subtly in your wake because you move not with hesitation, but with inevitability, not with noise, but with gravity, not with fear, but with clarity. They see you now, this fully realized version of yourself, and they cannot reconcile it with the version they once knew. Their disbelief is powerless against the truth of your existence. You have become proof that transformation is not optional. It is relentless. It is uncompromising. It is absolute. You do not need to fight to be seen. You do not need to shout to be acknowledged. And you do not need anyone's approval to justify your power. It exists, and it demands nothing but recognition from the universe itself. And in that recognition lies your triumph, the quiet, unstoppable, undeniable victory of self-mastery. They were never ready for this version of you, and that is the point. You no longer exist to meet their expectations, to fit their comfort, to validate their understanding. You are the living testament to what emerges when someone refuses to be diminished by circumstance, doubt, or the limitations of others. One appearance, one undeniable presence, one unwavering embodiment of purpose has rewritten their perception of everything you could be. And as you continue to rise untethered and unshakable, you leave behind a world that can only watch in awe, forced to question, forced to reckon, forced to witness the profound force of someone who became exactly what they were never ready to see. You are the storm and the calm, the shadow and the light, the reckoning and the revelation. And now, nothing can stop you.